Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be answering questions that you guys sent to me about myself, about studying medicine in China, about USMLE, and also about matching into a residency program. So I'd asked you guys on Instagram to send me questions that you want me to answer, and you guys have sent in a lot of questions. So this is like the whole list, and I'm going to be answering questions from here. So without any delay, let's begin. How old are you? I am 24 years old. Where are you from? I was born and raised in Mumbai. Like major part of my life was in Mumbai. When I was around 15, we shifted from Mumbai to Tamil Nadu, and I was in Trichy for like a year and a half. That's where I did like 11th and 12th, and after that I moved to China for med school, and then ever since the pandemic I have been in Chennai. And do you speak Tamil? Yes, Tamil is my mother tongue, so I do know how to speak Tamil. So like subconsciously at home, like even right now when my parents speak, I always tend to respond in maybe English or Hindi. So although I was fluent in Tamil, I had like this very weird accent. Like I never noticed that until I came to Tamil Nadu, because I used to literally speak like Anna enaka or pen venu. Like that's exactly how I used to talk. It was so embarrassing. So I was really insecure about this accent, so that's why I never really spoke in Tamil. But fortunately when I moved to China, my roommate was from Tamil Nadu. So like by just speaking to her, my Tamil accent improved, and so ipo pesappa nalla normala pesa mudiyum. So yeah, so in general I can speak Tamil better right now. Do you get hate? How do you deal with hurtful comments? I'm gonna answer both of these questions together. See, I was aware that if you put something on the internet, everyone's gonna have opinions. They may be great ones and they may be not so great ones as well. So I'll say 99.9% of all the comments that come in include like supportive messages, genuine questions, and like constructive criticism. But there is like that very tiny portion which I'd say like so far maybe like just 2 YouTube comments and maybe like 1 Facebook comment and like 1 Instagram DM. So far these were the only ones that were hurtful. But regardless, I'd say like we have a very positive community, and I'm like super grateful for that. And when it comes to dealing with hurtful comments, I'd say that I am actually like a very sensitive person. So like, things do affect me a lot. So that's the reason why I remember all these details.
I had 2 comments, 1 Facebook and then 1 Instagram.
But I feel I've gotten better at dealing with it. Like earlier it used to hurt me a lot, and I used to just keep thinking about it all day. But then eventually I made peace with it, and I'm like, dude, it's fine. You're bound to have an opinion, and it's okay. If you're just projecting it here, it's fine. I mean, I can't do anything about it. So I've just like sort of accepted that. Next, do you give emphasis to what people think about you? The answer to this is also linked to the previous question. Now, what people think about me does matter to an extent. Like it depends on who has the opinion and in what context they have the opinion. And also another important thing is to separate constructive criticism from criticism that is not constructive. Like for example, like when I just started my YouTube channel, a lot of y'all suggested to maybe add more light to my videos and add more color to my videos and things like that. And these are things that I can actually work on to improve the quality, right? But there are comments that were literally like, oh, your voice is so annoying. I can't change that, right? This is literally my voice. So that is the kind of criticism that is non-constructive. So I feel like being able to separate these 2 things was like really important. Next one. How do you deal with family pressure for getting married as an Indian girl? Okay, so my family has never really pressurized me or anything. They were always okay with me making my own decisions. So like for example, me getting married whenever I'm ready. So there's like no pressure as such from their end. But I can understand if you are going through something like this. I'd say like a probable solution would be to like just speak to them and explain your situation, and also try to understand their perspective and what is the reason behind them asking you to do certain things. And I feel like having that conversation openly would probably be like one way to deal with it. Next, were you always this confident? Firstly, thank you for thinking that I'm confident. I don't think I was always this confident, and I still don't feel like I'm like 100% confident. But I have become way more confident than I was before. Like as a teenager, I feel like I had like a lot of insecurities. Like even if my best friend would like talk to some other friend, I'd be like,
oh, why are you talking to that girl? You're like my best friend.
So there were tiny things like this. So I feel like most of my insecurities were present because I did not have self-confidence. I feel like the only way to deal with it is to fake it till you make it. Like honestly, like when I went to university, I feel that's when I started feeling more liberated, and I was like, okay, no one knows me here. I can just fake my confidence. No one's gonna know know it, and that eventually it just becomes a part of who you are, and gradually you'll start becoming more confident. So that is what my journey has been like. Next question. I'm an introvert and I'm very scared of interviews. How do I solve this? Very good question. I'd say the only way to deal with it is by taking baby steps. Like for example, if you're going to a restaurant, try to order food by yourself instead of asking someone else to do it for you. It's like a very tiny thing, but once you do it for the first time, then you'll feel like, okay, it was not that bad, and then you can slowly start doing bigger things. And for the first time, I can understand you may be like a little hesitant, but just ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? You're probably not going to meet the waiter ever again in your life. So even if you mispronounce a word or something, it's completely fine. It's just a learning opportunity, and it's a way for you to get that exposure. And once you do it for the first time, it's going to be so much more easier the next time. So I think that's a way in which you can start. And as far as interviews are concerned, I'd say trying to understand and connect with people is like a very, very important thing. So if you want me to make like a separate video about preparing for interviews, let me know in the comments down below and I'll make that soon. Okay, next question. Why did you choose China? Okay, so initially the plan was to study medicine in India, and I'd like prepared for all the entrance exams here as well, but unfortunately AIPMT got cancelled that year, so that ruled out a lot of options. But I also took like the entrance exams of certain private colleges, but since it was very uncertain, I also thought I should apply to places outside India to sort of increase my options. So around like the first week of July, I got to know that I got like a seat for medicine in Kerala, and I got a seat in Manipal for dental. So I knew for sure I did not want to do dental, so that was again ruled out. And so around the first week of July, I had to tell China if I want to come there for sure or not. So I had like these two options, but while weighing the pros and cons, I felt like it gives you like this international exposure. It has a really good ranking, and also it's an opportunity for me to learn a new language, and the exposure to research and stuff is like much higher there. And also cost wise, this college in Kerala was a little more expensive than this one. And of course, like the disadvantage was like I had to stay away from my family, and of course learning a new language, being in a country where you do not know the first language at all, was definitely quite challenging. But taking into consideration everything, it sort of felt like the best option at that time, because I had to either take this college in Kerala or wait for AIPMT to happen once again, and we were still not sure when it would take place, and I was not sure how I would perform and if I would get a college that I want and things like that. So taking all of this into consideration, China felt like the best option at that time. In China, is teaching good, or do you have to rely on self-study? This actually differs from like one professor to another, because like some professors are like really amazing and some may not be as great. So it really depends on the lecture. Having said this, I'd say like self-study is definitely important regardless of how good your university professors are, because for me personally, I was also preparing for the USMLE, right? So there were a lot of things that I had to teach myself, because my university does not cover the USMLE syllabus, right? Because the country is like different. So there was a lot of self-study that I had to do. So it's definitely a good skill to have regardless of how good or bad your teachers are. Next, how do you plan your day? I usually plan my day the night before, because when I wake up in the morning, I can just begin my work, and I usually like to start my day early so that I can finish early. I don't like to reserve fun things only for a day off. I like to do different things on a daily basis, maybe like dance practice, play badminton with my friends, watch movies with my friends, game night with my friends, and things like that, so that I don't get burnt out and I don't get bored thinking that I'm just studying all day. Also, having these things planned at the end of the day also sort of motivates me to work harder and finish my stuff faster, because if I keep wasting time all day, then my free time is going to just get reduced, right? So that sort of prevents me from procrastinating also. So I'm like, okay, fine, I have to go play badminton at 7, so let me try my best to finish all my work quickly. So that's the way I do it, and I strictly take like these rewards and stuff only after completing my work. So that's also a way in which I stay motivated. Thoughts on dating and med school? It really depends on your relationship, because if the person who you're with is someone who's very supportive and you'll have like this bond where you're all growing together and are just happy, then that's amazing. But if it's just someone who's causing unnecessary stress and drama, then I don't think that's worth it, because you're already going to be super stressed, right? So it's up to you, I'd say. Like, of course, like everything has ups and downs, so it's like a very subjective thing, because in my med school I've seen like people be really happy and people be extremely stressed because of relationships. So it's sort of like both. So it really depends on you and how well you're able to handle it and if you want to handle it. Next, can an average student do well in medical college? Short answer would be yes. The long answer is that firstly, stop giving yourself a tag that you are an average student. I'd say because see, personally for me, I was not someone who used to score 95 plus or 90 plus in all my exams in high school, but I ended up doing really well in med school because I ended up getting a scholarship every year in med school. And the point is not that you are an average student, you can't do well. It's not that, because when you think about it, in high school, you're learning all sorts of subjects, learning history, geography, civics, and all of those things. And for me personally, I used to do really well in science, especially biology, because I liked it. But me not doing well in other subjects does not mean that I'm not capable of doing well in the things that I love. So I think that would be a major reason why I ended up doing well in med school, because almost everything was the stuff that I liked learning. So please don't put the average tag. Trust me, med school wise, if you're putting in efforts and are consistent with things, you can definitely achieve it. So if your question is, will a person who does not score too high in high school do well in med school? The answer is definitely yes. Next, how is the exposure to clinicals in China? Okay, so at the hospitals, almost everyone speaks Mandarin because that's what the local population speaks, right? So what you learn from clinicals would majorly depend on how well you master the language in the first 2 years. So because we were taught Mandarin for the first 2.5 to 3 years, so at that time, if you learn basic sentences to speak to people, then obviously you will be able to volunteer and take history from the patient, perform a physical exam, and do all those things. So that will obviously open doors to more opportunities. So I'd say focus on learning the language really well in the initial years. Then eventually during clinicals you will be able to learn a lot more. And exposure wise, I'd say there are some doctors who really wish to teach you, and there are some doctors who may be really busy and stuff. So what I used to do is, if a particular doctor came for a lecture and they taught really well, I'd quickly ask them for their contact, so that when I go to the hospital and I'm assigned to a doctor who's really busy, I'd quickly get in touch with this doctor and then end up learning from them. So that was something that was really nice about my university. And if you show interest from your end, some doctors are so nice and they genuinely want to teach you. At the same time, if there are people who do not show interest, then they probably just let them leave early and stuff. So it really just depends on you and what you want to do. Next question, was online classes an issue for USMLE? No, it wasn't an issue, because when I emailed programs, they were pretty understanding of the fact that because of COVID, things had to move online for the safety of everyone. So that wasn't an issue. Did you extend your internship? No, I did not extend my internship. Have you ever felt insecure about being a foreign medical grad? No, I have never been insecure about being a foreign med grad, and I always was pretty confused as to why people would be. But then I'd read some of your DMs where y'all had told me how y'all faced a lot of discrimination in your home country because you were a foreign med grad. But I just want to tell you one thing, that you should be proud of this, because dude, as a teenager, you left your home country, went to a completely foreign land, probably learned a new language, learned to live alone without your parents, learned to manage your finances, probably learned how to cook, managed your time efficiently, also making new friends all by yourself, and just surviving in general. It's something you should definitely be proud of, and you should never feel insecure about it, dude. You have gained all these experiences, and that's going to make you so unique. And these are things you wouldn't learn anywhere else. So stepping out of your comfort zone is such an important thing, and I am really proud of you for doing it, and you should also be proud of yourself. Did you do your internship in India? No, I did not do my internship in India. My internship was done with my university's hospital in China. Did you always focus on USMLE, or did you have other plans? Well, USMLE was always plan A for me, and I started, I told you, I started med school in 2015, right? So in 2015, our first year was a pre-med year. So I had properly decided to study for the USMLE in 2016, and that's when I bought this book. I bought this when I was in second year, but I properly started using it only in 2017, which was like the later half of second year. So if you want to know like my whole USMLE timeline and study plan and the things I did, you can like take a look at this video. Honestly, I did not have any other plans. I was just focusing on the USMLE. Why USMLE and not PLAB? I personally felt US would be better because there were a lot of things. Firstly, like the length of training is like lower in the US. The second thing is that that you can be done with all the exams just before graduation and not have to worry about anything after you graduate. I think you can take PLAB 2 after you graduate or something along those lines. I'm not very sure, but I know for sure that you can't take both the exams before you graduate. So I did not do like a lot of research about PLAB because I was really sure about the USMLE because of these two main reasons. So but if you really are choosing between USMLE and PLAB, I'd recommend trying to look at some YouTube videos or maybe some Reddit posts, sort of find out the pros and cons of each thing so that you can decide what's best for you. What was the hardest part of matching? I'd say like the hardest part was like to get all the right information and to sort of deal with the fact that the match is super uncertain. The match percentage is like pretty low for non-US IMGs because it's not like if you're done with the USMLE and you're ECFMG certified, then you're guaranteed a residency position. It unfortunately does not work that way. So trying to hold on to hope and believing in myself during difficult times in this journey was probably like the most challenging part. How do you deal with comparison and competition? Very good question. Personally, I feel like it's very easy for me to say that, you are your own competition and stuff. But I'd say like things are competitive. It is important to take into consideration that competition exists, but try not to be overwhelmed by it. Like comparison is important for me. Like if I just do things my way, then I feel like there is very little room for growth. Whereas if I see how other people are doing it, I can probably learn something from that. So in such cases, comparison is quite a good thing. So that's the way that I look at competition because I feel it's almost impossible to not compare. It's sort of like a human instinct, right? So personally, I feel since comparison is sort of like a given, then might as well use it to your advantage. Comparison can also, affect your mental health because you may be feeling like you're not doing enough and you're not doing well and stuff like that. I compare myself to others to sort of get inspiration. Ultimately, I compare myself to myself to measure progress because comparing myself to another person to measure progress is pointless because that's just gonna make me feel more insecure. So last question, was the USMLE journey lonely? How do you stay consistent when most friends in your college are not preparing for the USMLE? I'd say like firstly, everyone's journey is like super unique, and just because someone is not preparing for USMLE does not mean that they are not working hard or anything, because everyone has their own goals and their own story. So I don't think I was really feeling lonely or anything. It's just that my friends and I, we were like doing different things. Like I mentioned on my everyday to-do list, I try to make it a point to at least like, cook one meal with my friends, that at least while doing that, you're like spending time with them, you're laughing and you're just having fun. So that was very important for me because I did not want to isolate myself just for this exam, because life is happening while you're preparing for all these things. So it's important to like enjoy this journey and not be like, I will have fun only after that, because I really need that balance in order to do well. Having said all this, I understand why sometimes it can be a little annoying, because closer to my exam, I had to like cancel plans with my friends when they'll all be like going out and having fun and stuff. But ultimately, when I think about it, I feel it was worth it, because right now all those sacrifices seem to have paid off. So I'd say like I'm okay with it. Maybe if I wouldn't have matched, I would have definitely regretted canceling those plans. But anyway, for now, I can just speak for what I feel right now. But if you're feeling lonely and you feel like you need a study partner or someone to study with, you can join our Discord server, where we have like a lot of students who are like studying on their own and are looking for like a study partner and an accountability partner, so that they feel motivated on a daily basis. So I'm going to leave the link in the description. You can join us, you can ask questions, get to know more people who are studying for this exam and things like that. I'd say that while you have to make some sacrifices, it will definitely be worth it, but at the same time, don't isolate yourself. Be in touch with the people around you, do things that you love, because even your career is not like your entire life, it is just a part of your life, and you should be able to strike that balance. So that's about it for this video. I just realized I've been speaking for like 53 minutes. That's like a lot. So I'll probably have to edit a lot of this. So I'm gonna go edit this video right now and let's see if I can post this today. So that's about it for this video. If you have any other questions or video suggestions, please let me know in the comments down below and I will try to get back to them as soon as I can. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.